if he went to the source of Gotham's problems and fixed it, he wouldn't have no criminals to beat up. Batman's redundant at that point.
You're looking at me in some type of way that my mum looks at me.
Mainstream blockbustery films, the majority of people who are in those spaces are like white execs, privileged.
Do you feel like we're ganging up?
Okay, welcome to Think Twice. This is a philosophy show basically where we discuss various different topics and we try and find out where we sit on all these topics. Today, we happen to be discussing storytelling. Previous episodes, we would have discussed anarchism, we would have discussed Epicureanism, we would have discussed isms basically. But today we're doing storytelling, and you're wondering why are we doing storytelling? It's because humans love stories. It's the way humans make sense of the world. It's the way they connect emotionally to one another and share knowledge. Like, in evolutionary terms, stories like help people survive. They were the way people could tell people about social norms. It's the way people could tell people about dangers, about values. So that's why stories are really important. And today with us, we have the superstar that, if you ever watch Netflix, you've probably seen that. Like, let me not even talk like, you know, big time on Netflix, all of that's good stuff. From East London. And if you've ever watched Ted Lasso, you might have seen her too. We have Precious Mustapha with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Did you like that one?
Yeah.
Did that cool you down a little bit? Because you got that awkward smile and stuff. You know?
I'm just awkward as a person.
So on our first question, we're going to ask, is the role of large budget films to impact society? Tef, what do you think?
Yes, absolutely. My answer to this is actually, whether film producers like it or not, I feel like they impact society. Like films, especially big budget films, definitely impact society because they tell stories. And like you said in the introduction, stories are super important for people to identify their like cultural norms, to see themselves reflected back on screen, and to develop their own culture in the context in which they live. So I think films are super important.
What do you think,
Precious? Impact society?
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely do think they impact society. I think big or small budget.
But do you think the role of them is to impact society?
Definitely, because I feel like if we look at films now, a lot of our mainstream blockbustery films, the majority of people who are in those spaces are like white execs, privileged, and consciously or subconsciously, that's what they want us to see. Do you know what I mean? They want to see themselves, so that's all we're really getting.
100%. And it shapes like societal norms, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're making a face, but what's mad is that in the intro you gave away the answer.
Well, it was a good point she made.
Right. It was the grimace like,
sort of might be conflicted with my I was like, that's a good point. That's a good point. Because I basically said, if I was to give one answer, is the role of large budget films to impact society? I'd say no. But like financially impact, I'd say yes. Culturally, yes. But like ideologically and politically, answer's no for me.
Okay.
I feel the role of large budget films, like $200 million films, are meant to sort of actually mirror society as it is, as they see it. It's not meant to actually try and change or shift society in any sort of way. Like, just because I actually think that's the role of like smaller budget films, if I'm honest, to be a little bit more risky, to be a little bit more nuanced. Whilst like actual big budget films, I don't think it's their role. Like, they're supposed to be universal. The storytelling is supposed to bring in a lot of people.
It's supposed to have mass appeal.
Yeah, that's how I see that those massive. You're looking at me in some type of way that my mom looks at me. I said, oh my god, what have I just said? And the reason why I sort of say this is because, like, if you look at things like Snow White, for example, like the recent Snow White, like Rachel Zegler's Snow White.
Yeah.
When people are putting millions and millions of pounds into this film, like, They just want some sort of escapism from reality about some 7 magical people and this white lady about this story that we all heard as children. That's what they want. Like that's all they want to see. And the film doesn't actually have the impact you want when Rachel Zegler, for example, posts what she posts about Donald Trump, or you hire Rachel Zegler to sort of do that role. And the controversies around that film, the film doesn't then have the mass appeal it's supposed to have in the first place. And I think if you really want your point to come through well, just do it on a smaller budget film with less moving parts.
But then...
Was that a fair argument? Did you get around to me at all? No?
I can hear what you're saying.
Thanks, you.
But then what about like films like Conclave, where, you know, like the Pope has died now, and apparently like popes, they're not popes,
Cardinals.
but the Cardinals,
Right.
they've been watching Conclave to, I guess, learn some things from that film.
It would have at least subconsciously influenced them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? And like we've learned stuff from watching that. So I don't know how it wouldn't impact society.
I'm not arguing that it doesn't or it does impact society. Like even the Snow White film, it impacts it. It creates discussion, like just because they're large films, right? But I'm saying it's the role of them to do that.
But do you mean like to impact like in what way? Like,
So I would say
like financially.
Financially, like I feel they have to recoup that. They have to, like, it's just so much money that you're trying to get this money back, right? And cultural presence, just because it's a large film, like it's culturally going to be discussed like through memes and fashion and maybe fan bases. But like, should it push a particular ideological thought or a political thought through the movie? And that's where I'm like, I don't think it should have that impact. The other impacts
So you think that it shouldn't, not that it doesn't.
Precisely, the other impacts aren't really like by design of the film. Do you get what I mean? They're by design of the fact that you have something so big that it reaches so many people, regardless of whether you like it or not. The thing that you're actually in control of, so when we discuss role, the thing that you're actually in control of is the themes you put in the film. And those themes are like ideological or political. And I don't think they should be too contentious in like large budget films.
I hear it, but like film producers, don't they have an idea of the tone of the media that they're creating? They have an idea, like a bigger picture idea about what this film is trying to say and where this film might fit into the cultural context.
Yeah, but I feel like the distinction is you're not trying to change society as you understand it. You're just trying to mirror what you see. Do you get what I mean? Like, I think that's the big distinction between the two.
I hear that, but I think what you're suggesting is by just mirroring society, that is an apolitical act.
Yeah.
But it isn't. It is political because you are reaffirming the status quo, if that's what you choose to do.
That's why I made that face when Precious made that point.
Yeah, because you are reaffirming the status quo. Like, if you create a big budget film and all the people, all the love interests are all white and they're all beautiful, you're like, saying something about
that.
Yeah, that might be what's happening in a particular city in America or whatever. But by mirroring that reality back on screen, you are reaffirming that white is the beauty standard.
Yeah.
You know, that is an acceptable state of affairs.
I accept that argument, and it's a fair argument, but what I would then say is that is the reason why you need like a diverse group making the film. And if you have a diverse group sort of making this film, you'll get the mirror of society that is as accurate as possible. That's basically what I'm suggesting.
I agree that representation in film production is super important, but I still have contention with the mirroring society as it is. If you believe society isn't right, or there is injustice in society as it stands right now, mirroring it is a political action, it's a political choice, and you're reaffirming status quo. I still think that. You see like how like if you make like a police drama, I think we were talking about Line of Duty earlier, and you portray like the lives of police officers and like they are just and they're trying to do the right thing, you're saying something about the police force. It's not an apolitical message. Like you might be reflecting what is literally happening right now in a certain branch of the Met, and there are good people trying to do stuff in a certain branch. But by choosing to represent that on film, you are portraying the police in a certain light that doesn't critique the systemic injustice of the police.
I think there's like a place for these things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying we don't do that. Like
we just
I'm just saying like
budget.
not on a $250 million budget film.
But
That's all I'm
surely
saying.
like that, it should be on that, like on a bigger scale,
Because you want that message to go to more people.
You know, maybe it should be in something like The Avengers because you've got more people.
Do you feel like we're going up?
I feel like it is like a fair argument that both you guys are making. Like I'm not like fully against it, but I just think what you guys are saying is ideologically ideal. So like perfect case scenario, I make this film, loads of people go see it anyway. People didn't watch Snow White, you know, like like people didn't actually watch it. Like it didn't have the mass appeal because of these problems. Do you get what I mean? Like whilst the smaller budget films that then just do it right, like Get Out, for example, like everyone's seen Get Out, like the smaller budget films that just do it correctly then get mass appeal eventually.
I have problems with Get Out though.
Yeah, I feel like you want to discuss this, man.
Yeah, I don't want to derail the segment.
That's what you're about to do. You're about to derail the segment.
Let me play my role. I think Get Out's a great film, but I think first of all, Get Out is pointed towards white audiences because all the microaggressions that Daniel Kaluuya's character goes through, it's like we understand that as black people. We already get that. Like we don't need to. We're not learning anything by seeing that. But I think the reason it had mass appeal is because it said something and talked to white people. White people were like, oh, like, microaggressions, like, let's learn about that. Like, I don't want to be them. And that's why it had that mass appeal. My argument is that that's why it was a success. It didn't necessarily like critique systems of racism. It just looked at interpersonal racism. And like, I don't think that moved the needle.
I feel like it moved the needle culturally.
Yeah, and you can't try and fix every problem all at once. That is a problem, right? Like that was an issue that was affected and sorted by that film, or like not sorted, but like addressed by that film. So I don't think it's harmful.
I don't think interpersonal racism is our problem. Like that's not.
It is a problem, though.
It's a problem, but I don't think it's worth like trying to fix that.
But you do realise like interpersonal. This is not what I want to do in this episode, but you do realise that interpersonal racism is what then translates to systemic racism.
It's the other way around.
You think it's the other way around?
Absolutely. I think systemic racism, the framework of white supremacy, is what normalises interpersonal racism.
Okay, that's for another episode.
Yeah,
but
we don't need to sit in that.
On to question 2. Are heroes just villains with better PR?
100%.
Right, I don't understand this question. Are heroes just villains with better PR? Give me an example of a hero
Batman.
that's...
Batman's a villain. He's the biggest villain. Deep it. Batman's a billionaire. He can sort out Gotham. He can build schools, he can build hospitals.
Yeah, but can one man do all of that?
He's a billionaire. He's got bread. Instead, he puts on a costume, and goes and beats up petty criminals. Deep it.
But are they
What's
petty?
he doing? It's petty.
Like he's involved with the mob, no? He's trying to take down mobs and stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, like, he just beats up like people who are doing like petty theft and like.
That is a big part of his MO. Like
Usually the film starts with him doing the small stuff, then he moves to the mob and like the Joker and like stuff like that.
So would you say him and the Joker are equal? They're equally as bad as each other?
Did you watch Heath Ledger?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm not siding with Batman on that one.
Interesting.
How would you judge Batman, for example? I think Batman is like the first one that comes to mind when I hear that question.
I thought about Iron Man as well.
Oh, Tony Stark, yeah.
How do you feel about these characters?
I mean, okay, let's say he built a school, right?
Sure.
You have to then hire people who are gonna nurture that institution, nurture those people, nurture those kids.
His pockets are long, like, he could do all that.
But is he in charge of all of that?
I think he's got the resources for like to impact social change for sure. And I think his application of his time and resources is crazy. It's insane. It's actually deeper, think about it. If Batman actually solved crime, right? By looking at the root causes of crime. I know I'm like over intellectualizing Batman a bit here. But like if he went to the source of like Gotham's problems and fixed it, he wouldn't have no criminals to beat up. Batman's redundant at that point. If you really deep it. So he's actually invested in the state of affairs.
Okay.
And if you actually like look at the Joker's like big point is that these people don't look after us. Like,
Society's unfair.
And I just want to cause chaos as a result of that. Like
The Joker's woke.
He is not woke. He is not woke. He is extreme. The Joker is extreme.
Yeah, so
he's
of course.
borderline terrorist, yeah.
Because he doesn't care.
Yeah. But he's alive to the injustice of society for sure.
Do you know what? I feel like maybe a better example would be like Killmonger and Black Panther.
Yeah.
Because Killmonger I wouldn't say is a villain.
He's just misunderstood.
Yeah. But also his arguments are valid.
Remind me, like I watched that film a long time ago. Like, what's his general point?
I think his thing was like giving back to like you guys are here in Wakanda and thriving, but like you're not giving back to the people.
Right.
Because he says something like, "Ain't all people your people?"
Right.
Whereas I think with Black Panther, his thing is like, "No, I'm the king of Wakanda, so that's all I care about."
Yeah.
And I think they're quite interesting,
Right.
them two. Because I do think Black Panther, in that sense, is a villain with really good PR.
Yeah, he's a little bit like elitist, a bit classist.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
How do you feel about Iron Man? Talk to me about Iron Man.
Well, like, he basically created something that nearly ended the world. But we sort of follow his story, and the moment we follow someone's story, we sort of connect with them as people.
Exactly.
And the moment we connect with them as people, even when they do things wrong, we're like, we can understand why.
Yeah.
We can understand why they've made this decision, right?
And they always explain like a reason
Precisely.
that you can justification.
And so essentially, like Iron Man, Tony Stark, when they've created this tech, like from if you're on the other side of this and you know nothing about, you feel like this man has just ruined this world. Like it's all his fault.
Yeah.
And in someone else's story, he's completely the villain. But obviously, we follow Tony Stark's story, so we see why it's happened.
Yeah.
And I just see it's all about narrative framing, basically. Like,
How do you feel about Iron Man? Do you think he's a villain?
I think he's a villain. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are, to be honest.
I think there's a lot of people, there's a lot of groups, there's a lot of people that get very, very good PR. Line of Duty is a good one. Like Luther.
Yeah.
Like anything that has a Fed as a protagonist, forget about it. Forget about it.
it's good PR.
It's great PR. And there's a cynic in me that's like, you know, the police, I think they're quite happy with this sort of media. Maybe they're funding it.
On to the next segment.
But wait, isn't Line of Duty isn't it about them trying to find someone...
Like corruption in the police, yeah. But then again, like, you're basically saying the police can police themselves, which we all know they can't.
Like AC-15, like the department that is supposed to reveal corruption, they're kind of villainized the whole show. They're kind of like the people that are getting in the way of the real police that are just trying to do the real detective work.
Yeah.
That's the tone of the show.
Yeah, it is.
And then like the guy who's the head of the corruption department, he's a bit sus towards the end as well. They kind of villainize him like he's doing a madness.
Yeah.
If you remember.
Yeah.
The feds are getting great PR there. Like top tier PR. Like Luther's cool, like he's sexy, he's suave.
And he's black.
Do you know what I mean?
That's on
He's a black fan.
That's on purpose. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
On to our final segment. I actually really enjoyed this segment because usually we sort of make these things up and like this couldn't ever be our lives, but this could be yours. So let me start. You've just landed a role in a major production. It's a breakthrough opportunity, but the character you're being cast as is a stereotype you've always struggled with. You've been told by your agent and your director that this is your big break, and turning it down could ruin your chances for future roles. However, you've always felt uneasy about the way the character is portrayed. It's shallow, one-dimensional depiction of people from your background. Do you take it?
No.
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 No chance.
I love that.
No.
I love that.
Yeah, standard business.
I agree.
I won't.
Yeah, I do wonder, and maybe you can help me with this, like in a situation like this, it's your big break, you know, but like let's say it's a big production company, to what extent do you have like control over how your character is actually acted and played? Do you have any like
I think
creative license?
it depends. I think if you've got like leverage because you've, let's say, come from like a massive job or something, and you're like top billing, you're like number one, then yeah, maybe there is leeway. But a lot of the time, I think these big studio production companies, like they are it's their say. It doesn't matter what you think, because they're trying to sell something, and that's all that matters. But I think why I would say no is because I don't think it would be creatively fulfilling for me as an actor to do a role that I don't think serves me, you know? And I think that's also, I don't judge people who do because, you know,
money talks.
you gotta make money, I guess. But
Yeah.
personally, I think, yeah, there's just no way. Like there are certain roles, like a lot of like the slavery stuff. I think there's even nuance in that conversation because, for example, like I watched Sinners recently. That's set in like the Jim Crow era, but the conversation's nuanced. The story's very obviously it's about vampires or whatever, but the story is quite like, I don't think we've been depicted that way before.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I would say yes to that, as opposed to like a 12 years what's it called?
12 years a slave,
right? I don't think I would say yes to that because I don't think it's showing us in a way that it's not showing us in a way that's like positive. It's almost like
It's just pain porn.
Yeah.
It's just like black suffering.
Yeah.
It's also like so tired.
It is.
It's fucking tired. And I think Sinners is completely refreshing. Like,
yeah, that for me felt like escapism. You know? I feel like that's like, I don't even know if black escapism is a thing, but I felt like I didn't have to think too much whilst watching it, even though a lot of the conversations were just fantastic and like the stories were amazing in it, but I didn't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which I feel like again, a 12 Years a Slave, like I felt really uncomfortable watching it. So yeah.
It also helps when it's a black director.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think there's been...
But 12 Years a Slave is a black director. It's Steve McQueen. Is that his name? Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Tarantino.
No, that's Django.
Oh, Django Unchained. Oh, sorry, my bad.
But even Django, I think, is nuanced. I enjoy Django.
It's a different take on all that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because, again, I don't think we've seen that. Some of it we've seen, obviously, like the slavery element of it, but, you know, a slave rebelling and at one point he's whipping a white man. That's insane, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear it.
What do you do? Do you take it?
No, I don't take it. I do understand why someone might take it, and I think part of the question that I asked you was about like how much creative control might you have is to explore where there are parameters where someone could try and take this role and try and adapt it and almost like shave off the excesses of the character, the ones that play into like the most harmful stereotypes and tropes, of which there are a lot, especially in American cinema. They love like certain black tropes about specifically like they do stuff for black men and specifically black women a certain way. But no, I don't take it. I don't think I could live with myself like perpetuating racial stereotypes. I think that's just, it's bottom barrel stuff.
Yeah.
And it's there forever.
Yeah. Like you're on the internet.
Like it's just...
How do you feel? Do you take it? Like talk me through your process.
You're gonna take it, aren't you?
Do you know what? There's a particular part in this scenario which is you've always felt uneasy about the way this character is portrayed. Which means I can't take it. Now, if I was aware of these things but I didn't feel uneasy about it, would I take it? Probably, yeah. Like, and the reason
my question is like, why wouldn't you feel uneasy about it?
Also, give an example. Like, what kind of role?
That's a good question. I haven't actually broken it down. I literally like looked at it and sort of.
We could do some examples right now.
Like what about Top Boy?
The Top Boy is a good example, right? Because
And
there
like
are
The
things
Wire.
that you don't like love about that, right? But would I take that role? The answer would be yes. Would you do that?
Yeah, just because I feel like that's maybe an example of what you said about how much control creatively and stuff. I feel like I can tell that there must have been some sort of collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Because they are nuanced, the characters. They're more than just drug dealers.
Yeah.
Like they kind of develop them a bit.
Like Top Boy, would you take?
Nah.
You wouldn't take that?
What, to play like Deshane or Sully?
Or like a role within it, yeah. Okay.
Maybe that's why I'm not an actor.
What about, for example...
It's probably going to be no. I think Sinners is a great example of like something that I think...
Yeah, but Sinners is obvious, like who wouldn't take that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's not contentious.
It's crazy.
Like, right.
Like Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take that.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course I would take that.
Yeah. Stuff like some of the classics, yeah? Like when we were growing up.
Oh, like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Shawshank Redemption. I'm even thinking like Coach Carter was like one of my favourite films growing up. Like Paid in Full, like stuff like that. I look back at that stuff
Boys
now.
in the Hood.
Yeah, I look back at that now and I'm like, nah, man.
You wouldn't do it?
Nah, not Paid in Full. Can't be doing that, bro.
Anyway, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed some stuff about storytelling. Precious, did you enjoy it today?
Yeah, I really did.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I was nervous at first, but I warmed up into it. So.
Alright, thank you. See you soon.
Take care. See you next week. Let's go. I'm excited.
Alright, cool.
It's gonna be a good one.
I'm like nervous again.
And he's illuminating. What's happened there? I was just about to start cooking it.
You're...
Done it again. Lovely. I was gonna talk about Sinners in a bit more. Like we've all watched Sinners, yeah?
Yeah.
You were saying Sinners is like super layered, then you thought it was like nuanced. What parts of Sinners did you enjoy the most? Like, which were the parts that you thought, like this is new? It's not been like done before, told before.
I think the fact that it was leaning in like the supernatural and the whole like gothic element of it.
Yeah.
I thought was great because I personally like stuff like that. Like
Okay.
even though it was centered on vampires and spirituality and like the voodoo elements and stuff, it felt very grounded. It felt very real. So I really enjoyed that. I also loved the Irish folklore
that was my favourite part
of the film. Just because I think what Ryan Coogler is really good at doing is making, again with like the villains aren't black or white. They're very layered. There's a lot more to them than just like I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, there's complexity there.
So I found the character of Remick really interesting, and I could find myself going, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So I enjoyed that element of it, and I felt like I was learning something new as well.
100%.
I've never really seen racism through the Irish lens before. Or what, is it racism? Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Because they also had their... shit was happening to them too.
Yeah, they had their own history there.
And it's never really spoken about. So that was very interesting.
Yeah. I also thought like the way they intertwined the Vietnamese story as well was amazing.
Yeah.
The shopkeeper family, there was a history apparently back in Jim Crow when white store owners wouldn't serve black people, the
So they were
Vietnamese
the
community,
in-between.
they actually served black people. So that sort of collaboration and like partnership between the Asian family and all the black people in the actual party, I thought that was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know how you feel about like when she let the vampires in. But she low-key did the right thing. Like at the time I was like, what is she doing? But I think she probably did the right thing in the end.
Why do you think she did the right thing?
Because she saved the rest of the village.
But
Like-
she also saved that she was thinking about her kid, probably.
Yeah, because had they not gone in, I literally think the vampires were on their way to the village. And the village would have been done.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they said that. Like, remember?
I thought it was more like a threat though. I didn't actually think they were gonna do it. I thought they were like saying that so she would do it. I thought it was a bluff basically.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Because it wasn't like local, like what? It wasn't like close.
but the vampires can like.
They can move.
They can move.
Fine,
Like,
no,
yeah.
it's fine.
So I think they would have got there pretty quick and just patterned it.
Yeah, I thought it was a bluff. But
How did you-
obviously she fell for it. So it worked.
Yeah.
But I hear it though, because she's a mother.
Yeah.
And she's thinking, oh, this vampire is probably going to go kill my kid.
Mm.
And also, like, your husband is like one of them.
Yeah.
Let me try save his soul if I can.
Yeah, by like stabbing him
Yeah.
through the heart with the stake. Yeah. Fair. But yeah, I think Sinners. I actually think Sinners is gonna go down like in history.
Yeah, I
actually
think
think it's that good.
it's going to be a classic if
Yeah.
it isn't already.
How did you feel about Sinners, Vince?
I enjoyed it. Like what I loved about it most, and this is probably what I love about like art in general, is symbolism isn't overpowering. And if you like knew nothing, you just watch the film and be like, oh, that was a great film. Like you see those vampires, like do you see that dancing? That was just fun. Like, and that's what I just loved about the film. That obviously we pick up on it, and like if you're interested, you might go read stuff about it.
Yeah.
But if you're not, you just can enjoy the direction of the film, like how it was written, the actors, and the content of it. So like, I loved it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think in a vacuum, the entertainment value was like off the charts. Like,
Yeah.
the music, the way it was shot as well, I thought it was super cinematic. And like the music scene inside, like where he's like infused all the African cultures, I just thought
Amazing.
that was
Which is brilliant. It was genius.
I've played that on Spotify so many times.
Oh, swear?
Yeah, because the whole soundtrack's out. Innit? It's called Lied to You. And you know he did learn the guitar for the film. Crazy.
I had a feeling that would be the case.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a
yeah.
feeling that would be the case.
And his voice is just
It's unreal.
so
good.
So good.
Oh, the best one that escapes reality, one that confronts it.
I think the best films do both.
Yeah.
I think films can both confront the reality we live in, but also take us out of the mud of today and think about or try to imagine a future beyond what we're going through right now. So yeah, I think the best films can do both.
I think it can be done in different mediums. Like I think, for example, like Louis Theroux and that documentary that he's done recently where he went to Israel. That was confronting reality. And I still think that's very powerful. And I think it could also be done in a film like medium and still be just as powerful, which we've had many films that do that.
Yeah, I'd agree both. If I had to lean on one side, I'd probably say escaping reality. I just think it gives you the bounds that haven't been seen yet. So like if you take, for example, a movie like Her, that was the reason why we now kind of have Alexa and things like that. And they literally even tried to use the voice from Her. And so when you sort of escape reality, you kind of see something that hasn't happened before and the way something could be.
It's kind of like what Black Mirror
It kind of does, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you haven't seen that, I just think it now elevates humanity in a sense. Gives you something to aspire to, something to achieve.
Yeah. I do think escaping reality is important on two fronts. Like you want to talk about and see a reality that you've never thought about before. It stimulates you intellectually and it opens like the collective mind to think about like things beyond what we're thinking about right now. But I also think like there's an important escapism in film and media that it's just like about enjoyment. Like after a long day at work, like you want to turn the TV on and sort of escape into that film, that TV, whatever it is. I can't say when I watch maths like I'm really learning too much. You know what I mean? I'm not challenging like societal norms. I'm just looking at like mess, like it's TV. You know what I mean? It's just enjoyment. And sometimes like after a long day of work, that's what you need. You don't need to like
just switch your brain off.
Yeah, you're already a bit fried. Like let's just relax a little bit.